Good morning and welcome from Shanghai. The wet conditions here today are likely to prove an especially difficult challenge as the teams begin their preparations for the weekend's Grand Prix. And I tell you what, Anthony Davidson, I think we're going to have some fairly anxious drivers in the cars today, as the conditions have not been kind at all for today's session.
Well, sat in the garage, maybe, I suppose. I mean, you'd always rather a nice dry circuit to run on. But as soon as you venture out onto the track, then any lingering nerves get left behind. The moment you start to become anxious in these cars, you tend to tighten up and become too digital in your inputs. This can not only cost you lap time, but also, if you're unlucky, send you on a one-way trip to the wall.
Yes, hello everyone and welcome to episode 2 in my F1 2017 career mode here around China today. That was practice 1, by the way, the weather conditions. I had to go to practice 2 because it rained for the entire session. And I thought to myself that most of the practice programs were pretty pointless to do in the wet because it was dry for the rest of the weekend. So I went to practice 2 instead, and here we are doing track acclimatization, as I missed the first gate on purpose because that was the last one. Here we are now coming across lines to do tyre management. Now on this track I found it a lot more difficult to do. Like, I could do the time. It's just this first corner would kill me, and this was the point where I just gave up. But so I didn't manage to do tyre wear, unfortunately. But we are now doing fuel management. I did manage to do this. This was actually quite easy to do around here, surprisingly. So across the line there, getting a green score, and that's a job done for that. Moving on now to the qualifying pace. I think this is. Yep, it's qualifying pace, and this again was relatively easy. The car was very well hooked up through parts of this circuit. I mean, I don't really like the Chinese circuit. I find it very awkward to do, but I don't know. The car felt good around here in parts, but the long right-hander, you'll see it in the race. The long right-hander, I constantly had to lift off, even if it was fine. I constantly had to lift off because the car just does not have enough downforce. So that was the issue, that really. But so all the programs are done. There's the resource points for all those that I've done. There's a lot of resource points there. So that's updated, and I decided to get a general wear upgrade. So yeah, without further ado, let's move on to the qualifying.
We'd like to welcome you from wherever in the world you join us today for this F1 qualifying session here in Shanghai, China.
Here we are then, coming around the final corner of China to start our first qualifying run of the session. Well, our first and only qualifying run of the session. Starting our first lap now, going around the first corner, and I wasn't very happy with all the laps that I did. I was constantly making mistakes in the laps. So you know, but. Coming across line to start a second lap, and I think we improved by quite a lot, to be fair, but where did we qualify?
Qualifying is complete and we're all set for an exciting race tomorrow. Your top 3 are Vettel, Bottas and Lewis Hamilton. The grid is set then, so that just leaves the race itself. Join us tomorrow where we'll be live with all the action. And until then, it's goodbye.
So yeah, we qualified 18th. Like I said, the car really didn't feel that great in qualifying. I don't know why. But I guess we'll just have some fun in the race. And hopefully we can get some more points like we did in Australia.
Ever since the Sauber of Felipe Massa passed Jenson Button into Turn 1 at the very first Chinese Grand Prix in 2004, Shanghai has consistently provided close racing and extraordinary memories. Joining me once again to take you through this race is the effervescent Anthony Davidson, and I'm very much looking forward to it getting underway. You raced here, of course, didn't you, back in your Super Aguri days in that infamous Chinese Grand Prix of 2007?
Yeah, that's right. I didn't last that long though, unfortunately. Qualifying had gone pretty well, but my brakes failed quite early in the race, around lap 10 or 11, something like that. And of course, back in 2004, I was the very first Formula 1 driver to complete a lap of this circuit. Just thought I'd mention that for you, Crofty. You like a good stat. It's a fairly tough circuit on the brakes here, though. You know, there's that long back straight down into turn 14, and then you got turn 6 and 11. They're quite heavy as well. On top of that, managing your front tyre wear is always a challenge around here, so there's a lot to keep in mind during the Grand Prix.
With that then, let's run through the grid order. Sebastian Vettel has a clear track ahead of him today. He starts in pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Raikkonen, Daniel Ricciardo, and Stroll, Verstappen, Massa, Grosjean, and Sergio Perez, Magnussen, Hulkenberg, Jolyon Palmer, and Ocon, Sainz, Alonso, Stoffel Van Dorn, and a Toro Rosso, Wehrlein, and Marcus Ericsson rounds off the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
We're below where we should be on the grid. We want you to go in aggressive, take a few positions off the start. Remember, be aware and keep safe.
Alright, Jeff, calm down. He wants me to go in aggressive. I've not heard that before. So Jeff is really excited for this Grand Prix. There's the strategy then, doing a one-stop again, going from soft to mediums. For some reason the team underfueled the car. I don't know whether that was because of the fuel saving program that I did. It suggested that we should have underfueled the car. I don't know. But starting from 18th place then, hopefully we have a relatively good race. You know, I'm hoping for points, because this Toro Rosso is good enough for points, as you saw in the last Grand Prix. So, I mean, we even beat Ricciardo in the last Grand Prix, so that says a lot for this car at the minute. So, just going around on the formation lap now. Hopefully we can get some points. I mean, hopefully there's a few retirements as well to help me get up there. You know, it really wasn't the best qualifying I've ever had in my life. I mean, I don't know if it was better than Australia, but, you know, I don't know if the AI are just really OP around this circuit. But, yeah, anyway, lining up now on the grid, getting ready for the 5 red lights as we wait for them to come on now. There they are. We've got 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights. It's 5 lights. Lights out. Where we go here for the Chinese Grand Prix. We've got off to an amazing start. Oh my God, that was that Alonso or Van Dorn? We had an absolute shocker. And now we're going to go just about miss our teammate going into the first corner as we get a tap from a Sauber, I think that was, on our inside as we go around the outside of our teammate now. What a start this is, as we now go down the inside of a Force India as well. I think that's Ocon. And what a start. We've moved up to, I can't quite see where that is, but we've moved up to 11th, I think that is, or 12th or something like that, or 14th. Okay, I was getting a bit ahead of myself there. But down the inside of Palmer, I think that is. And we're now up into 13th place. So it's a very good start to the Grand Prix here. Looking like, hopefully, you know, as wow, Daniel Ricciardo is out of the Grand Prix. Wow, he really hasn't had the best start to a season, has he? Finishing 11th in the first one, and then he's out of the second one. But we successfully defend from Palmer there, who had DRS because this is lap 3. Moving on to lap 4 now. We're coming around this left-hander. We lose the back end a little bit there. Palmer takes advantage of my mistake, and we also get caught up on the curb on the outside of this long right-hander. You don't want to do that really, because it's, you know, it's a horrible curb. As we're now going 3 wide almost, 3 wide down the back straight. I took into the slipstream of Palmer just to get better straight line speed, but this shows how slow the Renault engine is. I mean, look at the Mercedes engine in that Force India. But we go down the middle of both of them, and we somehow come out where we started. I don't know how that happened, but moving on to lap 6 now. We now have Hamilton, as the leaders have stopped for some reason. I'm assuming the super soft tyres didn't go that long. We now have Hamilton overtaking Palmer behind us now. Obviously all the leaders have stopped. He puts his nose in down the inside of me as well, which is brave. He's still there, so this should get very exciting here. As we're now coming around the fight, he gives us a nudge going into the final corner. And come on, Hamilton. I'm going to let you pass anyway because you're a leader. I'm not going to bother battling you. But here we are now, coming up to the first corner as we've got someone else coming out the pit lane. I couldn't quite see who that was. I just saw the proximity arrow. And he has now successfully passed us and through the traffic. moving on now to lap 8 or 6, I can't quite see. There's a VSC because Felipe Massa retired. I don't know why he retired, it's probably a mechanical issue or something, but here we have the VSC ending then later on in the lap, and we now have Raikkonen behind us, so this should get really fun, as we have a massive lockup going into this corner, and we try and get a good exit onto this corner. You'll see here now what I meant before. I mean, look at that understeer. I mean, how can you have that, as Raikkonen touches there, that's a bit rude. How can you have that much understeer going through that corner? I mean, this car has relatively good downforce, but it's not the best on the grid, as Raikkonen just steams past us, but that's what you'd expect from a front-running car. I think that's Hamilton and Bottas going side by side up ahead, so he's not far behind them actually, so they could be fighting for the lead of the Grand Prix, you never know. Coming into the pit lane now then on lap 10, our one and only pit stop of the Grand Prix, putting the pit limiter on just in time there. Coming into the pit lane, we're going to get jumped by lots of people probably, although we're still in 8th, so I don't know where everyone is, as we fit the medium tyres on now. Can we get a better launcher? Yes. There's a lot better launch than what we had in Australia, so yeah, this is a great start, and we also released the pit limiter at the best time as well. So yeah, coming out in 12th, I think that is, yeah, 12th, and we're right behind our teammate now who hasn't made a pit stop yet. So that's how far behind me he is. He hasn't made a pit stop yet, I have, and I'm overtaking him on track after my pit stop. So he's a whole pit stop behind me, so yeah, he's not had the best of Grand Prix, let's just say that. But moving on now to lap 17, we've got cars in the pits again for some reason, for their second stop I'm assuming. Grosjean I think that was, and now we have Hulkenberg and Stroll. So I was just trundling around minding my own business for the past 8 laps, and now all of a sudden I'm in the points. So I don't know how that's happened. But moving on to lap 26 now, not a lot happened, as the guys behind me on quicker tyres and a lot more younger tyres caught up to me, and I'm I mean, Grosjean is brave to squeeze through there. I mean, I gave him just about enough room, but he hasn't decided to come back onto the racing line, so I decided to go around the outside, but we've ran a bit wide there, and he's hit us, basically, and we're still side by side going into the final corner, and we almost touched there, but we just about managed to survive and keep this place. But moving on to the last lap now, and bear in mind the Grand Prix is already finished, and this happened. I don't know why it happened, but all of a sudden it randomly happened. Raikkonen retired, and then Alonso retired. But the race is already finished, so I don't know what's happened there. And I come across the line for a very credible 8th place, considering where we started.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
That's a fantastic performance from Ferrari. It hardly looked in doubt. So, Ant, how exactly did they set themselves apart from the pack today?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
So, here they come now, out onto the podium. Wherever you go, anywhere in the world, the prancing horse flags are dominant in the grandstands, and they're out in force again today. It's Ferrari on the top step once more.
So the final grid order then for this Grand Prix is Sebastian Vettel wins from Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton. So the top two stayed the same, and we managed to get 7th. For some reason it put us ahead of Raikkonen, even though he DNF'd after the race. I don't know why. I'd assume he finished, where he should have finished, but it did the same with Alonso as well. And I don't know what was going on. I don't know if that's a glitch in the game or not, but we managed to finish 7th in the end then. Sainz, unfortunately, finished second last, behind the Saubers and the McLarens. I don't know how, but moving on to the driver standings, then we are now in 8th place as that with 10 points. So it's been a relatively good start to the season. Carlos Sainz moving down there to 10th, but he's only got 2 points. So and the constructors there, Toro Rosso are in 6th, so it's whereabouts where I expect them to be, really. So hope you all enjoyed this episode. It's a fairly weird one, to be honest, because I don't know why I finished 7th. Surely if Raikkonen finished the race, but then retired, surely I should still finish ahead of him anyway. But just updating the rivalry update now. We're now drawing with Carlos Sainz, so that's a good there. As the reputation level for Williams has jumped up massively for some reason, I don't know why, and Renault and Sauber. But I hope you all enjoyed this episode. Please do leave a like and a comment, and subscribe for more, and I will see you all next time in Bahrain. Goodbye!